Hello and welcome to Story Dude, the hottest channel on YouTube, where a team of expert story pickers have scoured Reddit and found the best stories for you.
Am I the asshole for kicking my nephew out of my house after he hid my husband's inhaler as a prank? My F30, sister F39 has cancer. She's a single mom of her 16-year-old son. We were asked to take him in while she gets treated so we could help him focus on studying and provide a normal routine for him. My husband has asthma. He needs his inhaler throughout the day. Thing is, my nephew is a prankster. He'd hide the inhaler as a prank then give it back as soon as there's panic in the house. So far he's done it 2 times and thought it was just him, messing around. The other day, my husband called me while I was at work panicking saying his inhaler was lost. I asked if my nephew had taken it as a prank, but he doubted it since my nephew would give it back instantly after we panic. I got home and we looked for it for hours and had to go to THD hospital eventually. When we got back, we found it sitting at the coffee table. My husband and I looked at each other and next thing we knew, my nephew was giggling upstairs. In that moment, I just lost it. I yelled at him then told him he was no longer welcome in my home. He started panicking and my parents called me to get to the bottom of what happened, but still defended him saying it was a prank and that I took things too far by kicking him out while his mom is struggling. They insisted I take him back but I refused. Now they're giving me hell about being unsupportive and making things more difficult for my struggling sister. They even blamed my husband for not keeping his things locked away. Am I the asshole? Did I make a hasty decision? Not the asshole, ha ha ha. Criminally negligent manslaughter is a funny prank, guys. Let me just make one thing clear there is no situation, argument, or other circumstances where a damn 16-year-old is not a massive asshole for doing this. He's old enough to understand that your husband could die without the inhaler. You're well within your rights to set that boundary. Not the asshole. It's all fun and games till someone dies from an asthma attack because a spoiled brat stole the inhaler. Your parents just don't want him. Am I the asshole for asking my wife to pay her fair share? I, M39, have been married to my wife Stacy, F30, for 5 years and we have 2 children together. I also share 3 children with my ex-wife Hannah, F37. Ever since Stacy and I got together she has made it very clear to me that my 3 children are mine and Hannah's responsibility, not hers. This has worked out well so far, but lately it has been taking a toll on me. I pay Hannah child support every month. Ever since Stacy had our first child she has demanded that I give her the same amount of money each month to keep things fair. In addition, I have to pay for half of our joint household expenses, i.e. mortgage, utilities, food, and my own car. Stacy pays for the majority of expenses for our children. Here lies the problem. Stacy has never taken issues with having to care for mine and Hannah's children. She picks them up from school, takes them to activities, and ensures they have everything they need. However, anytime she purchases anything for them, she immediately sends me a Venmo request and demands I cover all expenses related to children that are not hers. We recently went on a family vacation and she demanded that I pay for half of the portion for our children and all of the portion for Hannah's. I told her that all these expenses are taking a hit in my finances and she didn't seem to care. She reiterated that my children are my responsibility. To add insult to injury, she recently started contributing money to college funds for her kids, while Hannah and I have nothing saved for our kids' college. Hannah found out and asked that I start funds for our kids. When I talked with Stacy about this, she said this was fine, but I had to put the same amount of money in the funds she has set up for our kids. I told Stacy I need her to start paying her fair share of expenses around our household. I cannot afford to pay child support, household expenses, and all these miscellaneous expenses that come up for my kids. It wouldn't hurt her financially, as she makes more than me and could easily spare some money. Stacy blew up and took our children to her parents' house and I haven't heard from her in a day and a half. Am I the asshole for demanding that she pay her fair share? I told Stacy I need her to start paying her fair share of expenses around our household. I have to pay for half of our joint household expenses, i.e. mortgage, utilities, food, and my own car. Stacy pays for the majority of expenses for our children. Sounds like she pays for half of the household expenses and the majority of the expenses related to your shared children. You are the asshole. You are the asshole. It sounds like Stacy works outside the home, takes care of your shared children and does a share of childcare and chauffeuring for your children with your ex. Pony up and be grateful. Am I the asshole for not allowing my daughter to contact her bio parents? I, 40 female, and my husband, 42, have a daughter, 9. She was adopted when she was born by myself and my husband, and she knows she's adopted. Her biological mom was a very sweet 17-year-old girl who wanted to give her the best life she could. I don't know if her father knows she was ever born. There was no drug issues or anything like that. Recently, she had a school project where she was supposed to write about where she comes from. She is determined to find her biological mother and father to find out. I offered for her to write about our family instead. My husband and I don't want her reaching out to them. We told her this and she's upset, saying we don't understand and that she'll always wonder about them. She said we're being selfish and keeping her from finding out who she is. We obviously just want what's best for her. Am I the asshole? Commonly asked questions. The adoption was closed per my husband's and I's request. The birth mother did give us her contact information in case our daughter ever wanted to find her. She does have a letter from her birth mother explaining why she was adopted and that it wasn't because she didn't love her. Update. I took some people's advices and called the phone number I have. To my surprise, she returned my voicemail. So I did get her age wrong. She was 18 when we adopted our daughter and is now 28. Not married and no additional children. She did confirm the biological father does not know my daughter was born. I let her know why I was calling, but that I truly did not want them to have communication. I explained my reasoning and that we're her parents and are only doing what we think is best. She let me know that when my daughter and I are ready, she'll be there to answer any questions. I should also add her biological mother did offer to do an interview by sending a video answering my daughter's questions or an email. You are the asshole. I'm an adoptive mom. As long as it's not a safety issue, your daughter has a right to know her history and biological parentage. Keeping it from her will only make her more curious and resentful of you for lying, withholding information. What were the terms of the adoption? Why is it best for her to not speak to her biofamily? Thanks for your reply. You say you're worried about her having a fantasy of what it could be like talking to or meeting her bioparents. Have you ever actually talked to her about it? Have you told her anything about her origins? It seems logical and fair that a kid would want to know about where they came from. And this is a slight against you. It seems like a natural curiosity. If the mother gave you her contact info, why not reach out to her and arrange something? It seems cruel to deny your daughter this moment. Gentle, you are the asshole. Am I the asshole for telling my daughter she needs to pay rent? I, 50 female, told my daughter, 24 female, she needs to pay rent. She got out of college in February and struggled to find job until October. I supported her during the job hunt and she's been living back home rent-free. I was excited for her for finally finding the job, especially when it is surprisingly well-paying. She told she won't get paid until late this month. I said it was fine, but she still needs to pay rent. The other day she told me she planned a trip with her friends and was saving for a plane tickets. I reminded her again she still needs to pay rent, as it felt like she's trying to avoid rent so she could save money for trip. She told me she'd pay the rent, but deducting her credit card bill. Apparently she wanted me to pay her credit card bill first, then keep the rest as rent. I told her it was unacceptable. She rolled her eyes and tried to walk away. In the heat of the moment, I said some unfortunate things. At the end of the fight, she finally agreed to pay the rent and her own credit card bill. My daughter has become extremely distant since. She started working overtime almost all week. I tried to talk to her. I even told her she can keep her original plan, but she just kept fixating on the things I've said. Either ignoring my message or telling me how I've misunderstood her and made her felt bad. My husband thinks I'm the asshole because he thinks our daughter was already stressed and I kept reminding her for rent money she didn't have. Demanding rent in a fight made me the villain. Today she handed me a stack of cash, rent and credit card bill included. I tried to tell her the money will be in a family savings account. She rolled her eyes and said she doesn't care. She then cut up the credit card I was managing the bills for. My husband gave me a "I told you so" look. I honestly don't think I deserve any of these treatment. I love my daughter very much, but I can't help but wonder if my husband was right. Am I the asshole? Info. A lot of people asked what I said, so I'll answer here. The reason why I said it doesn't matter is because not only she confronted me on the spot, I don't think she'd react that way if the fight hadn't been about money. It was in the heat of the moment. I may have called her a bad or a shitty person. But that was it. I did not cross the line. I'll clarify the Christmas present part. We charged it on installment so she knew how much it cost. She's still entitled to use the credit card as she liked. She paid as much as she could with her part-time jobs. Like I mentioned in one of the replies. She never made that much. She barely paid any part of that iPad. It's mostly on her own food and clothes. My husband and I covered the rest. There aren't debt. Nothing can't be paid off with her income. More info if she doesn't want to pay rent. She doesn't have to. We want her to contribute to the family. Based on how much she's making, the amount equal to the broader city average rent is what me and my husband decided on. She can afford it. She isn't struggling. Final update. This will be my last update on the Christmas gift situation. So many people seem to be fixated on it. No, we didn't make her pay for it. We charged it on her card so she knew how installments worked. This was just a rare incident. We have a large sum expense. My husband and I paid it off at the end of each month. She made little money tutoring back in college, and she used the credit card for food and clothes. These were the expenses she actually paid for. And what she made were oftentimes not enough, and I had to cover the extra. The average rent is for a studio apartment in the broader city. As I've mentioned, it's impossible to find a decent rental in this area. There is no comp for it. I'm tired and this will be my final update. You are the asshole. In the heat of the moment, I said some unfortunate things. This shit is my favorite am I the asshole behavior. We have no idea what you said here, but since you're trying to hide it, I bet it made you sound like a colossal asshole. So you are the asshole. Now you're mad that your daughter doesn't want to treat you like family when you treat her like a tenant. You want to act like a shitty landlord. You're gonna get treated like a shitty landlord. INFO. What unfortunate things did you say? That seems to be pretty central information you have left out. In response to edit, calling your kid a shitty person is crossing the line. You are the asshole. We are in October. She just got the job. You couldn't start making her pay rent on December 1st? Like what?